Hello there, everybody, and welcome to the season finale pre-race show, as this is basically going to set the stage for all the different point scenarios heading into finding out who will be our Season 3 Oreo, Mobile 1, and Snickers Cup Series champions. This basically is going to give you the inside information you're going to need to know for every single lap at that track known as Zenjoltis to know just exactly who's in position at what point of whatever lap to be able to win the championship. And of course, during the commentary, all that kind of information will be coming out as well. Before we get into that, I want to show you guys what the new logo for Season 4 is going to look like. This is it. You can see there's a few similarities with the Season 3 logo, but with a little bit more color, and this is what the new Season 4 logo will look like next year. Also, before I get into the whole thing here, just want to let you guys know that next year, the next season, will not be coming out directly after Season 3. There may be about a week's reprieve in between, but nonetheless, that's going to be basically the case, because I'm going to have to go through and redo a truck starting lineup. I've also got to get some stuff situated as far as names are concerned and everything, but that's basically how everything's going to go down at that point, with about a week in between the end of Season 3 and the beginning of Season 4. Alright, so you guys probably don't want to hear anything about that. You want to know what the championship standings, what the scenarios are going to be like when we head into the final race in all three series. Well, we have them for you right here. Let's start first with the championship standings for the Oreo Truck Series. Here you take a look at it. There are 5 drivers still in contention for the championship: Adam Chambers, Sean Galligan, Matthew Rodriguez, Joseph Bryant, and Jake Rogers. Now, you can notice on the green, that is drivers that have a real close chance of being able to win the championship right there, and those would be Chambers, Galligan, and Rodriguez. Now, Bryant and Rogers, they're not out of it by any means of the imagination. Plenty of stuff has happened at Zenjoltis before that has played out to the driver that is way back's favor. But right at the moment, the 3 drivers in the ideal spot where this championship really is going to boil down to those 3 battling are Chambers, Galligan, and Rodriguez. But those 3 could encounter a problem in the very first half of the race, and Joseph Bryant, Jake Rogers would be the 2 drivers then that it could come down to for the championship. Drivers that are in red, they basically now are mathematically out of competing for the championship. But here's the scenario of what's going to look like. Provided that Adam Chambers finished dead last in the race, how could these other drivers get the championship? Well, here's the scenario for those drivers. If Chambers finished dead last, Galligan would have to finish at least 40th or better and finish ahead of everybody else. Matthew Rodriguez would have to finish a minimum of 33rd place. Joseph Bryant would have to place basically in the top 20 with at least a 19th place finish. And Jake Rogers would basically have to place his car up pretty much around the 13th position, but basically a top 10 would be what Jake Rogers would need. Now, this does not mean that if Jake Rogers finished 13th, he's going to be the champion. It depends also on where the other drivers finish. Rogers would basically have to finish in the top 10, or at least at the very furthest down, 13th, and hope that all the other drivers ahead of him finished about 30th place or worse. That's the scenario for him. Okay, so you can see here, we told you Chambers, Galligan, Rodriguez, they're the 3 that we're going to keep our eyes on. Bryant, Rogers, they're still in it as well. But let's take a listen to some of our other fellow competitors for these drivers and find out who their picks are, of who they think is going to get it done to win the Oreo Truck Series Championship.
I'm hoping Sean Galligan wins, because he's from England as well, you know, rooting for the hometown guy. But I don't think, you know, I want him to win, but I doubt he will, because I think Jake Rogers I think it was Jake Rogers who won the championship last time, and he's still just about in contention, and he's done lots of good runs recently, and I think he's got it.
Who do I think is going to win the Oreo Truck Series Championship? Well, it's going to be none other than Adam Chambers. He's done so close, and he's just 1 point ahead of the leaders. But I know he'll do great, because he's really fast. I've seen him race, and he's really good. So my prediction for the Oreo Truck Series is going to be Adam Chambers.
Who do I think is going to win the NNSCRA Oreo Truck Series Championship? Well, I believe it's the guy who's leading the points lead right now, and it's Adam Chambers. As most of you know, Adam Chambers was the defending Snickers Cup Series champion. He knows how to get the job done in a higher ranked series. Even though he might have many challengers, I believe Adam Chambers is going to be able to win this championship just like he did last year in the Snickers Cup Series. Plus, that gives him the experience. He knows how to get it done, doesn't he? So I believe Adam Chambers will win.
I'm going to win the championship because I already got one under my belt. I got the Bear truck, and it's yellow and red because those are the colors for winning.
Okay, so you can see there, it sounds like Adam Chambers is basically the driver a lot of people think is gonna win this championship, and not a bad pick either because Adam Chambers, he comes into his third Truck Series chase in 3 seasons. Only one other driver in the Truck Series has been able to do that, and that's Matthew Rodriguez. Both those drivers just split by 8 points. We take a look now at the Mobile One Cup Series chase for the championship standings. Few more drivers in contention for this. However, there's quite a gap between first, second, Lawler and Dunham, and then down to Poteet, Jacob Rodriguez, Sean Galligan, Matthew Rodriguez, and Emilio Navarrete. Those drivers are 22 to 37 points back, which means they are not mathematically eliminated yet. However, it's going to be a very, very tight squeeze for those drivers to be able to get the championship. They're just going to have to hope that something happens to Lawler or Dunham. It may come down between only those 2 drivers to win the championship. But what's the scenario look like for drivers where they have to at least finish? Well, here you take a look at it. Provided that Jacob Lawler finished in dead last, Dunham would have to finish 40th or better. Basically, Dunham has to finish 2 positions ahead of Jacob Lawler in order to take the championship. That's how it's pretty much set up there. For Dylan Poteet, provided Lawler finished dead last, and Dunham would have to, of course, I think finish around 40th, 39th, somewhere around there. Poteet would have to finish in the top 20 in 19th. Jacob Rodriguez, same deal. He'd have to finish 18th. Galligan would have to finish 13th. Matthew Rodriguez would actually have to finish in 7th, and Emilio Navarrete would have to finish at least 4th place. So, in all honesty, he'd basically have to win at Zenjoltis. So that's basically how that's going to go down. It's looking like it's going to come down between only 2 drivers, veteran Lawler and rookie Dunham, but it's not out of reach for Poteet, Rodriguez, and Galligan. I think Matthew Rodriguez, Emilio Navarrete, basically it would really take a miracle for them to win the championship. However, we've seen things happen. Of course, Matthew Rodriguez is going for his second Mobile One Cup Series championship as he was the champion back in Season 1. However, we got a few drivers who would like to weigh in here on who they think is going to win the championship for the Mobile One Cup Series. Let's find out who their picks are to be able to conquer Zenjoltis and become Season 3 Mobile One Cup Series champion.
I think Trent Dunham has a good chance of it. Yeah, the Zenjoltis I've seen of the track. Basically, it's a bit of a crash fest. So it's like sudden death roulette. Really, anyone could win it. I think probably Pace Car could win it. Although I don't know that. I think Emilio Navarrete, who's just about in, is going to have to win the race and have everyone else do rubbishly. But I don't know. It's possible. You have to see, really. I think Trent's got a good chance at it, as does Jacob Lawler, but I wouldn't count any of them out, really. So that's my champion.
My prediction for the Mobile One Cup Series Championship, who's going to win? Well, I think it's going to be Trent Dunham, the Hedgie Dunham, because he is an awesome driver. No one can beat the Hedgie, and I really am going to be very happy for Trent if he wins the championship for the Mobile One Cup Series. That's who am I predicting. My prediction is Trent Dunham. Go Hedgie.
Who do I think will win the NNSCRA Mobile One Cup Series Championship? I believe it's a guy named Sean Galligan. Most of you know that Sean Galligan has won many poles, even though he's 28 points behind in the standings. But because of that, maybe some of the other guys might have hard times maybe in wreck. At a track they're going to, Zenjoltis, any of that can happen. So I think Sean Galligan can get a good starting spot, stay up front all day, and maybe even win the race and the championship. It might be difficult, but that doesn't mean there's surprises.
Certainly some very good picks there, and I like how people give their reasonings as well on why they think the person's going to win the championship, and some very good points made there. I basically don't have a favorite coming into this race because I've seen both Lawler and Dunham choke at restrictor plate tracks. And that's not just in Mobile Cup Series, also in Oreo Trucks and Snickers. So I really have no idea who I would go with based on between those two at restrictor plate tracks such as Zandjoltis, which is, exponentially much more difficult in all sorts of respects to Talladega, Daytona, whatever kind of restrictor plate tracks you would go to. Now to move on to the mecca of the three. This is basically the big cheese in the dairy farm as it's concerned for how much importance is based on a championship. Of course, we're talking about the Snickers Cup Series. Now here we got another 7 drivers, just like in the Mobile Cup Series, who are mathematically in competition. But here's the difference. Mobile Cup Series, it was 2 drivers and then a big points gap. Here, the top 6 drivers are separated by only 16 points. That is huge, and that is close. That's going to be a big key factor there. Aaron Williams, Tony Speed, John Acosta, Dougie Shears, Dylan Poteet, and of course our Daytona 500 winner Trent Whitney, all in contention, along with Devin Wilson. Now Devin Wilson, he's 26 points out. He is a lot closer than other drivers that are in the Mobile Cup Series, but he really needs to get a win. That's basically the thing for him, I would say, because in the fact that he has 6 other competitors ahead of him who are separated by 10 points less than he's separated from the leader. It just seems like he really is going to need to have a win if he's going to win this championship. But take a look at this. Only 4 points back for Tony Speed, only 7 points back for John Acosta, only 8 back for Dougie Shears, 11 back for Poteet, and 16 back for Trent Whitney. Now, with that being said, where would the driver have to finish if Aaron Williams finished dead last? Look at this. 37th. That's all Tony Speed would have to finish. John Acosta, 34th. Dougie Shears, 33rd to be able to go for his second Snickers Cup Series championship. Poteet, 30th. Trent Whitney, 25th. And Devin Wilson, 15th. However, basically, in my opinion, if any of these drivers ahead of him finished in the top 20, he'd need to have a win in order to win the championship. So that's basically what that looks like. Let's now take a look and see what drivers are choosing to win the Snickers Cup Series championship, as 7 drivers are still mathematically in competition.
My prediction for the Snickers Cup Series championship? Well, I think it's going to be hands down going to be Aaron Williams winning, because Aaron Williams is one hell of a guy to race against. I've raced him against him before, and he's almost unstoppable. So I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron Williams came away with the championship. He is just an incredible driver. My prediction for the Snickers Cup championship? Aaron Williams. Go, buddy. I wish you luck. So, my prediction is Aaron Williams. Thanks.
As far as I can tell, this one looks kind of... Well, if Talladega's anything to go by, I think, everyone's going to start crashing out, but I think Tony Speed had a good run at the last Super Speedway, which was Talladega, last time out. He finished the race. I don't think anyone else did that. So I think he's got a good chance at it, but, Who
do I think is going to win the NNSCRA Snickers Cup Series Championship? I believe it's going to be the guy who has already won it, Dougie Shears. Although, to be fair, only 2 guys have won it, and the other guy is not in the chase, which is Adam Chambers. But he has got the job done, and he is in contention. Dougie Shears knows how to get it done. So I believe the former champion will be able to get his second Snickers Cup Series championship and be the first multiple champion in the series.
Okay, so that's how this whole point scenario looks like heading into Zandjoltis. We do have another thing that we're actually going to update you guys on. Now, of course, whoever gets the pole for Divisions 1, 2, and 3 of the Snickers Cup Series, they are entered into the Season 4 Budweiser Shootout. However, I have compiled the list of drivers who, at this point, are going to be in the Bud Shootout, and the riders are going to be in. So let's take a look at that list right now. Here's the first page of the list. There's actually quite a few drivers here. You got Logan Wilson, Matthew McMurray, who actually are both going to be teammates next season. I actually found out Matthew McMurray and Sean Galligan, those two hold the most poles in the Snickers Cup Series this season. And I believe Matthew McMurray has one more pole than Galligan, but they are the two that have been dominating that pole position. Alex Filter, He's not returning to the Snickers Cup Series. He may end up getting like a one-race contract for racing in the Bud Shootout. We'll have to see. Galligan, as we mentioned, he's going to be in his 44. Seth Cole in the 52. Justin Perry going to be driving next season for Roger Penske. He's going to be driving the 22. A few drivers here that we don't know if they're going to be having rides for this one race. Adam Rose, Vincent Marsh, Michael Harvey, Jamie Watson, Jacob Boyer, and Zach Buchanan. Then we know that Dougie Shear is going to be back in his very familiar 83 with Zach Carlson, moving over to Richard Childress Racing in the 31. Moving on to page number 2, Robert Band for Richard Childress Racing. He'll be in there. James McLeod, not yet back in the Snickers Cup Series. He may have a one-race ride for being in the shootout. Danny Wells, Leo Rogers in the 68 and the 92. Josie Berg, no ride as of yet. Sam Young in the 50. Matthew Rodriguez for Phoenix Racing in the 09. T.O. Bain over for Michael Walter Racing in the 79 car. Red Bell over to Everham Motorsports in the 19. Aaron Williams for Hendrick Motorsports over in the 88. Brad Anamia moving to Penske Racing in the 12. Jake Berg, Alex Quintana, of course we don't have rides for them yet, as they haven't joined in Season 4. Ryan Juke for Penske Racing over in the 77 car, and then the last drivers in the field are Bob Fergus over in the 86, Jacob Cook for Roush Fenway Racing in the 26, Penske Racing's Jake Rogers, and then the American Israel Toyota with Eric Burton. So those are the drivers that are currently in the Bud Shootout for next season. You can see there's a lot of them, and a lot of them have rides for next season. Quite a few of them, though, don't. They may end up getting a one-race ride. You never know. But that's how this whole thing's going to go down. Then, of course, the drivers who get the poles for Division 1, 2, and 3 races at Zen Joltis in the Snickers Cup Series will be entered in this Bud Shootout as well. Okay, guys, I want to thank you for watching this pre-race show. We hope that you're going to be enjoying the Zen Joltis race weekend. That's going to be coming up very, very soon. We will crown champions here in the NNSCRA for Season 3 in Oreo, Mobile 1, and Snickers Cup Series. We hope that you will tune in for all of those. Hope you will enjoy this race weekend, and hope that this helped you get a little bit of insight on who basically is in competition and what these drivers are going to have to do in order to become the champion in whichever series they are competing in. We do have an opportunity here, folks, for a two-time winner or two-time champion in all 3 series. Rogers in Trucks, Matthew Rodriguez in Mobile, and Dougie Shears in Snickers. Can it be done? We're going to find out. They got a lot of first-time champion contenders, though. As we say, au revoir. You've been watching the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best. See you guys at Zen Joltis.